when she asked if she could choke ya underneath the blacklight poster of a spaceman saying, "Take me to your dealer." That might be the best lyric in the first song on the album, but we're talking about the Hold Steady open door policy right now. Hey everybody, Chris King here, Love Live Music Channel. Back again. Thanks for tuning in. If you've been here before, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about music that I love, music that you might really, really like. Ultimately, I want to talk about some live music. We're so close to having live shows again, and that's exciting. But what I'm going to talk about today is one of my favorite bands just put out a new record. If this is your first time here and you like where this is going, please hit the subscribe, hit the like, give me a little feedback, drop me something in the comments. I would love to hear it. The Hold Steady open door policy. How long have we been waiting for a new Hold Steady record? Well, a couple of years. We did Thrashing Through the Passion back in 2019, but by all accounts in Hold Steady land, that was more a collection of songs and singles that they put out in streaming and then combined, packaged them up, and put it as an album. All that being said, one of my most listened to albums of the last 2 years is definitely that one. But for a full concept Hold Steady album, it's been many, many years. Maybe 2014 since Teeth Dreams. But for fans of the earlier Hold Steady catalog, Separation Sunday, Boys and Girls in America, what was the one with Stay Positive? Is it called Stay Positive? Is the album called Stay Positive? They had Sequestered in Memphis and Stay Positive. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was called Stay Positive. For fans of those albums, even Heaven is Whenever, this is going to be right up your alley. If you don't own an open door policy yet, you've got to check these tracks out. And let me think about two things that two close friends of mine have said to me in the last week. Actually, I'll say that for the end. I'll tell you about that here after I go through the tracks. The tracks on an open door policy by the Hold Steady. It's so good to know that these guys recorded this in 2019. As a matter of fact, this was recorded in August and December of 2019. So this is basically a complete pre-pandemic thing, which makes me excited to know that Craig and his band of heroes likely have already recorded or already written what is the follow-up to this record, an open door policy. It starts with feelers. It's a slow start. Some good vibes from Franz on the keys. Dun, 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 dun. Craig starting off with alliteration right off the bat in his lyrics. It sets the tone for what this record will be. And what this record becomes is many songs tied together with the idea of mental illness. And this really, in my opinion, speaks to the time right now, as there are people struggling and struggling so much from the last 12 months that the world has been through. And that's why I feel like this album is really timely. As for a Hold Steady record, this album sounds really good sonically. It's like the band has gelled in a way that they haven't in a minute. And maybe it's because I know Franz has been back in the band for a little bit, but now it seems like he's really in there and contributing. And some of the things that he does sets the earworms and the melodies in such a way that nobody else has been able to with the Hold Steady or with Craig Finn's solo stuff or the Lifter Puller stuff. Franz is such an MVP. The real MVP, of course, is Craig Finn, who writes lyrics unlike anybody else, which reminds me of something that my friend said I'll get to later. Second track we go into is Spices. And I know this is one that was released early on before the album came out. And the more I've listened to this album, and I've listened to it a lot, it's been out for like 15 days, and I've listened to it a lot in those 15 days. And Spices is the one that I keep coming back to start when I listen. I don't necessarily go back to Feelers, I go to Spices. Spices, the story of a guy who hasn't spoken to this female in a few months. She gives him a shout, says, it's Easter weekend, meet me down here where there's this thing going on. They go, they're going to ultimately see a parade on Easter morning. I'm assuming this is in New York. And the imagery that Craig Finn pulls with his lyrics is just, it's always been mind-blowing, but this song is one where if you know somebody that's unfamiliar with the Hold Steady, you would say, listen to this song because this is what they sound like, and this is what they put out there, and this is how entertaining and interesting this is. We're at the table, and she's yelling out her order, vanilla Coke in a Diet Dr. Pepper. I mean, that lyric in itself to me is just like, I want to go see the Hold Steady and scream that lyric back to them when it gets to that part of the song. From there, we go to Lanyards. And for me, in the live music business, Lanyards means a lot. And in this song, it's about this cat that goes out to LA, California-esque, maybe to be something. Then it turns out that he doesn't get there. And everybody's looking for your wristband, and wristbands go to laminates, and laminates go to lanyards. And it wraps up with him back at home in Independence, Missouri, not far from where I am right now. So it registers there. Every repeat listen of this record, I pick up a nugget here or there, lyrically, sonically, that just really means something. It's so good. Next, we hit Family Farm, which is essentially a song where it sounds like our protagonist is in some type of institution, as they're saying, kind of, here are the rules. Here's what you need to know. This person that checks on me, this nurse, she's got Eruption as a ringtone. A nice shout out to Eddie Van Halen. This was recorded in 2019. He died in 2020. So he does things lyrically that seem so conversational, like something you would hear someone say in a personal conversation, and somehow he writes it in a way that works with the music. And it's just, every time I listen to them, this album, and I keep saying an open door policy, clearly it's Open Door Policy, ODP, not AODP. And Family Farm is another one that I really like. And as a matter of fact, they performed this one live on Seth Meyers recently. And you can catch my little review of that. And also I'll drop a link in the description here, because that was a little bit of an awkward performance. Then we go to Unpleasant Breakfast, which starts off again with our protagonist talking about being down by the beach, watching the seagulls eat cigarettes. Man, the Hold Steady. I don't think they get the credit that they deserve. And I know that this album debuted at number 8 on the Billboard album chart, which is awesome for an indie rock band. Awesome for a band that's considered one of the great bar bands of the last 20 years. Awesome for a band that one night Craig Finn put his arm around my neck. The second time we had worked together, he put his arm around my neck and he said, your venue is one of the top 10 music rooms in the United States. I'll never forget that. I've got a picture somewhere of that moment where he put his arm around me and the snapshot went off and we were talking. I just love the Hold Steady. And I would very much insist, if you are a fan of music and if you're a fan of lyrics, that you dive into this album. It's a great starting point. A Heavy Covenant is next. I think that's going to be their next single. Then we've got Prior Procedure, Riptide, Riptown, right? Riptown. What we notice in some of these later songs is they start doing some things sonically that sound like music from the 70s. At one point I was like, man, does this sound like Chicago, or is it Atlanta Rhythm Section or Steelers Wheels? What is it that this sounds like? But ultimately, it all sounds like rock and roll. It all sounds like the Hold Steady. And I'm going to tell you that I love this album. That's my review. I freaking love it. I need to buy it on vinyl. I need to go to my favorite vinyl place and pick it up real soon. But I'll tell you what my two friends told me. I had one friend that is a big Hold Steady fan, and he sent me a message in the last day or two that said, hey, the Hold Steady's got a new record out. And what registered to me is, yeah, dude, they do, and you need to buy it, because if you consider yourself a Hold Steady fan, this needs to be in the collection ASAP. And the second one is, I was talking to another friend of mine whose musical knowledge I respect. And I said, hey, you heard the new Hold Steady record? And he said, no, man, really, I think those guys are like some rich kids just trying to write some stuff. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind that you would put that into if you would love or be interested in a piece of art or not. Because, maybe it's not 100% authentic. Maybe Craig Finn is writing fiction. But I love NWA, and Ice Cube never killed anybody. He was writing fiction. The Hold Steady is writing delicious fiction about characters that are down and out, about people that have to make decisions that maybe they don't want to have to make, or maybe they've had struggles that they don't want to put out on blast. But here they are, and here's how it is written. And the Hold Steady is one of my favorite bands, and I love this album, and I hope that you dig it. And I also hope that if you love these videos that I'm making, like this one that's coming up, or this one that I've just done, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit me with a subscribe, or hit me with a like, or hit me with a you suck. It could be that too. My name's Chris King. I love live music and the Hold Steady.